For 4 years, you have heard the left and the very partisan press tell you how the Russians interfered in the 2016 elections. Recent documents released reveal the true meddling happened at the hands of Hillary Clinton's campaign, aided and abetted by high-level officials at the FBI, the CIA, and yes, the White House under President Obama and Vice President Joe Biden. Yep. But this year, a different attempt to rig the election by lies, disinformation, and censorship is happening under deceit from big tech social media giants like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, and Instagram. In a move that is so brazen that it earned founder Jack Dorsey an invitation to come and testify to the Senate Judiciary Committee, Twitter locked out the Trump campaign account and that of White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany for daring to mention a front-page article that was published in the New York Post, which, by the way, is the 4th largest circulated newspaper in America. Now, why did they do that? I'll tell you why. Because it painted Joe Biden and his wayward son, Hunter, in a negative light. My own Twitter account was blocked from posting a link to the story. And Twitter lied and said it refused to allow the story because not all of it was verified. Yeah. That's the same Twitter censors who allows vicious and unverified comments, not just about the president, but even about me and my family. To assist a campaign with something of value is to be subject to the campaign finance laws. And Twitter and Facebook's actions are thinly disguised campaign contributions to Joe Biden and the Democrat National Committee. I think it's past time for Congress to act and pursue antitrust regulation against these companies who have long ceased to be market-driven social media platforms and have become monopolistic utilities. The damages they are inflicting on free speech and a fair political debate are worse than anything the Russians have ever done. And by the way, if you haven't seen the documentary called The Social Dilemma, you really should. I promise you will not be allowing your young teenager to be on social media without some heavy restrictions, if at all. Silicon Valley billionaires now decide what you can and what you cannot see. And they've decided you can't see negative information about how then Vice President Joe Biden used his position to obtain his son Hunter some lucrative contracts with Ukraine, Russia, and Communist China. Not little contracts, but multi-million-dollar deals that Hunter Biden wasn't qualified to obtain, well, other than the fact that his father was the vice president. That was the qualification. You know how much time the major networks gave to this story the day it broke? Not 1 second. Not 1 second, nothing. Now, what would have been the coverage if the politician's son had been named Eric Trump? What do you think? Well, the election this year is a test of whether our elections can be stolen by big tech billionaires who only allow you to get the information they want you to have. But if we allow this kind of heavy-handed influence peddling and the overt censorship of news unfavorable to the left and full-throttle fake news to destroy President Trump, Vice President Pence, Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett, or for that matter, to you, we're going to end up with a government that we won't recognize. Look, I got friends who are going to vote for Joe Biden because they don't like Donald Trump's personality. And there are parts of it that I can't personally identify with either. But I'm not voting for him to be room mother and bring cupcakes to school. I want someone who isn't afraid to stand up to China rather than to get his son a cushy cash deal with China. I want someone who will fight the D.C. swamp rats rather than feed them cheese. And I really want someone who won't use the power of the federal fiefdom to fill his pockets and cover the tracks of corrupt creatures of the swamp. Now, if you want more videos like that one, hit the subscribe button below and the notification bell right next to it. And if you leave a comment, positive or negative, I'll be sure that my dog Toby sees it and responds to you in kind.